Yeah, buddy. Welcome once again to another episode of the Straub Sports Show. Big bro Ken rocking with you with little bro. Little bro, how are we doing other than glory, Man United?
It is still so cold outside.
Oh, freezing.
But hey, the good thing is it's gonna be like 40 tomorrow or Saturday.
Ooh, come on.
The bad thing is it's gonna be like 8 next Tuesday.
And it's gonna flood tomorrow as well.
So yeah, not looking forward to that, but also looking forward to some sunshine and maybe a little bit of warmth.
Yeah, I just want to walk out of work to my car and not have my bones freeze. That's
I don't want to cuss when I walk in my car door.
Right. But enough of the weather report. Welcome once again to another episode of the Straub Sports Show here on the Straub Sports Show YouTube page and the Ken Straub Facebook page, although our current watchers are in on the YouTube page. You can find the YouTube page with that QR code right there, or just go to YouTube and type in Straub Sports Show. You can also find us on X at Straub Sports. You can find us on TikTok for a couple more days if they don't save it at the SBSS, on Instagram at Straub Sports Show, and of course the Spotify page, the Straub Sports Show. I will take the nice cold football weekend to make sure that is nice and updated for you as well. Big shout out to the Falls Rapids, as we are the official broadcast team for the Falls Rapids. I cannot wait for May. Number one, because it'll be warm, and number two, I can broadcast football games. Make sure you are following and giving a like to the Falls Rapids Facebook page at the Cuyahoga Falls Rapids. That one's nice and easy. And if you're on Instagram, official Rapids, check out that. That's where you see all the stuff that Daniel creates, all of our photographers put together, and a reshare of my interviews as well. Make sure you check out those interviews available on the Instagram page and the Straub Sports Show YouTube page, your one-stop shop for everything Straub Sports Show. Those interviews, Akron City FC interviews, and of course our sit down with Browns legends Josh Cribbs and Hanford Dixon. Make sure you also give a big shout out to my guy Austin. Follow him at Create Your Own Wave 2021 to get your Create Your Own Wave apparel. What up, Daniel? My owner of the Falls Rapids, always rocking with us. About to send the Straub Sports Show out to 50 something pages all over the place. Shout out to Daniel. Last week's show, Tuesday's show, I should say, was over 900 views. So big shout out to Daniel for kicking us around. And I hate to interrupt Boston, but I got to do it. My man. What's up, Cuzzo? Nady in here. There's going to be a Go Irish coming in soon. But make sure you follow my guy Austin, like I said, at Create Your Own Wave 2021, and get your Create Your Own Wave apparel at CYOWapparel.myshopify.com. Strabo, I'm just gonna spoil it right now. I've got an updated menu. Shout out to Smoopy Sweets and Treats. Make sure you get to Facebook and you search Smoopy's Sweets and Treats, okay, to find all your baked and bread goods. That Facebook page is where you get in the DMs and you get that order. Now, first things first, Valentine's Day is coming very, very soon. Make sure you get that Valentine's order in, or she's going to ghost you, or he's going to ghost you. All right? Either way, you are getting ghosted. You're getting left on read if you do not get a cookie, cheesecake, cupcake order in, and get them in quickly, because those orders are going to fill up. She can only make so many deliveries in that week beforehand. So make sure you get them in ASAP. But I did say it. I mentioned it. Here it is. Boom. Here is the new updated menu. We've got breads, we've got bagels, we've got croissants, we've got cheesecakes, we've got donuts, we've got muffins, and we've got danishes and more. What else do you need?
First, let me just say that this menu is beautiful.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
that is an absolute gorgeous menu. But also, oh my Lord, I want everything. I want everything.
Listen, the Italian me sees that cannoli at the bottom, okay?
Oh,
right.
Listen, we started.
The cannoli, baby. Yeah. Take the gun. Leave the gun. Take the cannoli. But yeah, I mean, everything that you need is up there. Make sure you get with Paula. Shout out to Paula. Paula's got some weddings booked for the first time ever too, because of not because of us, but because of her hard ass work. So shout out to Paula. Shout out to Smoopy Sweets and Treats, and thank you and good luck to all of our friends who rock with the show. And I know I mentioned it before. There is a new one coming. Okay, I did not forget. I've been sick. We've been trying to get 2 shows together, but we have a new one on the way coming very, very soon. But without further ado, Strabo, let's get rolling. We don't have a lot of news. Actually, we don't really have any news. I have one little tidbit. Cowboys interviewed Kellen Moore. That's the guy who's going to end up being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Just throwing.
Okay.
But we've got no real news. Actually, no, I apologize. We do have one bit of news to talk about, actually. And it's not news in the sense of sports. Unfortunately, this has become a recurring thing on our show, but more because we get the opportunity to do it when it does unfortunately happen. And that is, we unfortunately lost Bob Uecker today. Legendary broadcaster and sports announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers since 1971, passed away at the age of 90. He was once a backup catcher. A lot of people don't actually remember that Bob Uecker actually was a baseball player. He won a World Series with the 1964 Cardinals before beginning a 54-year run of being in the Brewers radio booth. He was also a fixture on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, where he earned the nickname Mr. Baseball. And your Cleveland connection. A lot of people from Cleveland, a lot of younger people, older people will remember him from the Major League trilogy, where he was the broadcaster for our Cleveland Indians in the movie, Just a Bit Outside. But yeah, we lost an absolute baseball legend today in Bob Uecker. A voice that I love to hear actually on baseball calls. I did get to hear him call some baseball, not just those major league games. But yeah, we lost a legend.
Yeah, I will say the first time I ever have seen Bob Uecker was on Major League, and I can't tell you the amount of times I've quoted things that he said. An absolute legend in the game, absolutely respected by everyone in the business, and someone that will live on even after his death as someone that made the childhoods and made the adulthoods of so many Brewers fans, just listening to his voice. Very similar to Tom Hamilton to us. And so our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in the family and everyone in the Brewers organization, because I know they feel just as sad that they lost him as well.
Yep, they lost a beloved member of their organization. Absolutely. Oh, I have to give a special shout out too, because of all of the things he did too. One of my favorites, just because that's me and that's who I am. He also hosted a WrestleMania.
Yes, he did.
Back in the day. So that's how big this man was. Movies, TV, sports, WrestleMania, anything,
everything.
So rest in peace to Bob Uecker. With that being said, we can move on to the sports now. We can get rolling, and we're going to start right at home, brother. It is time to guard the land, because it is Cavs Oklahoma City 2 in Oklahoma City. Cavs won the first one. Now we travel, or that was last Thursday, actually. Now the Cavaliers travel out to Oklahoma City, riding a 1-game winning streak. I know the winning streaks was the big tail of the tape in the first matchup, but they dropped one to Indiana. Won in Indiana on Tuesday. Darius Garland banged up the knee a little bit, but from all I've seen, everything, good to go. So Cavaliers, Thunder 2. Your initial thoughts?
I think this one, honestly, maybe a little bit. I think it is more important than the previous one, because I think the previous one, 2 hot teams coming in, it was just whose night it was going to be that night. But this one, you're on the road. You've played them and they've played you, so you felt each other out. It's not going to be as open, I don't think, as it was last game. And also, you're going to have, I think, a lot more eyes on you in this game. I know they hyped up last game, and you got a lot of coverage, but I think because of how great that game went, just on both sides, you are going to see a lot more eyes on this game, because you are going to see a lot more people realize, oh, both of these teams are probably finalist favorites. And so this is where you are really are going to be able to showcase your talents to basically the entire NBA and their fans.
First things first, you already know, Mama, rocking with your favorite guys. And I'm going to use your point to come into this question, because you said if you win this game, there's going to be more eyes on you. Because if you win this game, a lot of people are going to talk about you being the favorite to win the championship. Now, number one, we need everyone to show up tonight. Absolutely. Number two, I'm going to disagree. I'm immediately going to pour the water on, only because This is not the NFL. This is the NBA, and 7-game series are different than 1-game runoffs. And as long as the Boston Celtics are the Boston Celtics and they're going to be in the playoffs, I can't say we're the favorites. I'll give us second. I'll say I say we're the biggest threat to Boston. But as long as Boston still has Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I can't make us the favorites even with a win tonight.
I think I agree. And I think it's less of, I think, the people that are coming up in front of us, and more, I think, of the first point you made, at least in my opinion, where in basketball, just like in baseball, most times anybody could win on any given night. You're much more likely. There's been a couple teams that have finished the regular season undefeated in the NFL. No one's finished the regular season undefeated or even close to it in the NBA. And so I think that point kind of stands where, yes, are you going to be one of the favorites? Absolutely. But in terms of the favorite, I don't think we've had the favorite in the NBA since probably the Warriors or the Cavs in 2016.
Boston was given that title last year.
But that was they've been favorites forever and they haven't won it. And so I think the point where is this going to elevate us into, okay, now we have a higher expectation where it's reached the finals? Yes, absolutely. But would I say that we should and there's no other option, every other option's a failure? No, I wouldn't say that.
I agree. I still think I'm going to be nervous with this team come playoff.
Oh, of course. Always.
All of this regular season goes. I'm confident tonight. All of that goes out the window come playoff time because I haven't seen this incarnation of this team succeed in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Yeah. I haven't seen them run through people like that yet. And what's going on, Pops? We already know you in. Let's go. So I can't. I got to see it first. They go out there in the first round and they treat whoever they get in the first round like they treated the regular season. I'll flip the script real quick and I'll start talking Eastern Conference Finals and I'll start talking matchups. But no, I got to see it from this team in the playoffs. However, I want to shift the conversation and I threw water on the fire. I'm gonna relight it. I've been skeptical of Darius Garland. I've gotten on the Darius Garland train basically because of how he played against Oklahoma City. I need to see it again tonight. I don't need to see the biggest game from him, but I need to see another. Show me you can do it in the half court. Show me you can do it when it slows down. It's time. I'm going to say this. Not this year because it's just it's a little weird. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's league right now, season. Evan Mobley will be in the MVP conversation next year.
I think I agree to that.
I have been on that train since the draft. I've been on it since year one. I have never gotten off the fact that I think that this guy can be a franchise guy. I think next year is the year that not only he continues what he's done this year, which is get stronger in the paint, be better at be a better 3-point shooter. Defensively, he's still a great shot blocker and rebounder. I think he's going to get even stronger next year, and I think it'll be noticed more next year. I think this is the introduction. Apologize, I didn't silence my phone. I think this is the introduction to the mainstream media, and next year Evan Mobley is in the MVP conversation.
I will say at some point, I'm not going to give guarantees on next year or anything, but I believe that I know you do. I believe that we are seeing exactly what we want to see from a guy like Evan Mobley, where he has the skill set, he has the athleticism, he has all the intangibles, but now the game's slowing down for him. It's not as quick.
Yeah.
So he's able to read things better. He's quicker off the dribble as soon as he gets the ball. He makes the right pass more often than not. And it's easier in the touch because he's done it a million times now. And I think that's where you're starting to see it. Maybe not next year because we're going to see kind of how the league shakes out, but I think he'll definitely have his Jose Ramirez arc where even if he doesn't win one, he's going to consistently be in that conversation as he hits his prime, year 5, year 6, year 7, kind of stuff like that.
I think we're here. I'm going to put the gamble in. Pops is with me, says definitely next year. Yeah.
I'm not saying he's top 3.
I'm not saying he's top 2 or 3, but I think next year is when we start to go, okay, who is the MVP? And I think people are going to start to actually finally start saying, hey, what about Evan Mobley? And I think that's
I like
also
that.
when that happens, I think that'll be the best thing that happens to Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, because it kind of takes it off him a little bit. I agree.
Yeah, especially come playoff time. But we will see what happens go ahead.
I was gonna say to kind of end this the kind of segment here, just to kind of put some perspective on the game tonight. Ty Jerome is a game time decision tonight. I'm sure Nick will come in and correct me if he's in or out by the time this show ends. And then Oklahoma City Thunder, Chet Holmgren is still out, and Isaiah Hartenstein, who went 18 and 11 against us in the previous game, is also out tonight. So some key guys for Oklahoma City out. It's going to be basically all on Shai tonight to kind of lead this Oklahoma City team,
which is scary. That's a scary situation. That actually kind of makes not more dangerous when you're losing quality players, but still, that's still a dangerous team. And I do want to point out, and it's worth pointing out, them not having Chet is huge.
Oh, for sure. And that's why when I love these wins, and I think they're great wins, that is such a massive piece of the puzzle there for them that we haven't seen yet, and we haven't seen in that offense yet, that I'm sure we can figure out and handle, but it will give us a lot more trouble when we see them at full strength.
And they have length and they have help. Yeah. Chet is a guy that's going to give Mobley an issue, and Mobley's going to have to figure him out. And excuse me, when Allen comes in, he'll have to figure him out. They were able to kind of towards late in that fourth quarter kind of bully Oklahoma City, especially Jared.
Yeah, I agree.
You're not just going to bully Chet. I know Chet's a skinny guy, but you're still not going to bully and just get him out of the way. And you're not going to grab every rebound and get some of those second chance opportunities when Chet's in the game either. So,
and I also think these teams are they're very similar. It's because you have your Evan Mobley and Chet Holmgren with your long, lengthy big, and then you have your Hartenstein and your Allen, kind of your bigger guys, your more built guys, and then obviously Shai and Donovan Mitchell, Dort and I'm losing his name.
Niang.
Dort and Niang, or just that three that we always kind of rotate.
Wade is Isaac Okoro.
Whoever kind of gets in there, and then Jalen Williams and Darius Garland. Like these teams are so kind of alike, and I think that's why they're both kind of having the same successes, because they're both doing things equally that the league really isn't used to right now.
Cavaliers, if the bench if I want to say double, and I think that's a little too much pressure to put on the bench. If because they're weak and they're out a couple more guys than normal, if the bench outscores Oklahoma City's bench, I think the Cavaliers can run away with this like they have against other teams. I think if the bench gets outscored, that is the way Oklahoma City is going to have to stay in the game, because they're not going to get the frontline production as much tonight. They're going to need the bench points. So look for the Cavaliers bench to kind of hopefully show up on the road. Benches normally it's a home thing with bench and role players. So we'll see what happens. All right. I'm going to make the executive decision. We're going to stay in the pros. So big weekend ahead of us. We'll start with the weekend. It is the NFL divisional round. We start Saturday with Houston at Kansas City. The ride for the three-peat begins. Can Kansas City's defense slow down this rolling Houston Texans offense?
So I want to say it first. Obviously, we were very surprised by Houston and how well they came out against the Chargers. However, I'm going to double down and continue to say that I don't believe this Houston team has what it takes to go any further. Okay. I believe that I think we talked about it on Tuesday. They kind of jumped out and took the Chargers by surprise, kind of similar to how they did against the Browns last season, where they were a playoff experience. Well, at least this year, they were a playoff experience team. The other team wasn't. They were kind of, they were leaning on their defense to force turnovers, and they got in good positions, and they scored, and that's kind of how they got ahead. This Chiefs team is, I think, the complete opposite of the Chargers. They are insanely experienced. They're not going to turn the ball over as much as the Chargers would, and I think that they're going to really make C.J. Stroud earn his points and earn his yards. And I just, the way C.J. Stroud in this Texas offense has been playing kind of late or this season, I don't think that they have that ability take those long drives and get those third downs and make those tough plays. And I think that's where Kansas City is going to kind of come in and take control of this game.
Full screen. I have zero issue coming in next week and eating crow and crap because I didn't believe in the Houston Texans. I don't think they have a chance. I think, and here's what I mean by I don't think they have a chance. I don't think this is a blowout, but I think when we look back at this game come Tuesday when we sit down, I think we're gonna say, yeah, but we never really doubted. Yeah, but they never really took the lead. I just can't. I'm not gonna believe it until I see it. And I get the regular season, they had some scares, but then, man, every time they got the ball in the fourth quarter, the game was over. So this is exactly what I said about the Cavaliers. I need to see it in the playoffs. I need to see you beat Boston or you take out whoever beat Boston. You got to be the man. You got to beat the man. To quote the great Ric Flair. Okay.
And to quote you last year.
And to quote me last year. Okay. And they didn't do it last year. So until you beat Kansas City, I'm riding with Kansas City.
All right.
All right. Moving on to our our second game Saturday. Washington Commanders at Detroit Lions. And Drew, all of a sudden, all anyone can talk about is how Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders can go into Detroit and scare Detroit. Are we doing what we did with the Broncos and Bills?
Short answer, yes. Long answer. Obviously it's a very famous photo. Do you remember in the bubble playoffs, the photo of Jimmy Butler leaning over the post, dripping because he has done all he can do and it wasn't enough?
Yep.
There is going to be a picture of Jaden Daniels like that on Saturday night. It's going to be on the bench. It's going to be him getting sacked for the fourth or fifth time. He's going to put up numbers. He's going to do all he can do, and it's going to be impressive. But there is no way I can say that I don't think that this Detroit team, especially this Detroit defense, even banged up as it is going to allow that Washington offense to dominate them like they did to Tampa Bay. Their defense.
I agree. I actually really like that analogy, honestly. And it is a bold statement. It is an absolutely bold statement, but playoffs are about bold statements. I like that analogy with the Jimmy Butler picture, first of all. Secondly, while Detroit is not getting healthier on defense, they were able to rest. And I think the way Philly looked with that rest, I think the only thing this Detroit defense can have right now is rest. They're not going to get many guys back. I don't think, at least, I think it would possibly be the Super Bowl before they could have a couple of those guys come back. So they're not going to get guys back. However, as good as this Detroit offense has been, now all week, full participant in practice, and as it appears all good to go Saturday, David Montgomery is back in this offense. So Sonic and Knuckles are back in Gibbs and David Montgomery. So this offense just got another weapon. As scary as this offense has already been, and they kept humming without him. So I agree. I think this Commanders offense can create some problems for this Detroit defense. I don't think this Commanders defense can hang and stay in with this Detroit Lions offense right now.
Yeah.
All right. So that'll take care of Saturday. Let's get it rolling into Sunday. Our first matchup, the Los Angeles Rams travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Drew, Eagles can't just go in and push around the Rams the way they did the Packers, can they?
See, your Saturday game, I hate that the NFL did it this way. Your Saturday games, you have your obvious favorite and your underdog. And then your Sunday games, it's, I don't know. Because these two games, especially this one here, is a game where both teams looked incredible in their first game. Philly dominated on defense and finally got rolling on offense kind of later in the game. And then the Rams from the jump looked absolutely fantastic. And so you have these two teams that I think are very, very similar. They dominate on the run. In terms of Barkley and Williams, they have a great quarterback in Hurts and Stafford, and then they have a great. They have great receiving cores, and then a pretty good defense. I'm going to lean Philly just because I feel, in terms of depth and in terms of just pure quality and the floor, I think they have a higher floor than the Rams do, and so I think that if it came down to it, I would, if I had to choose one, I'd have to pick Philly. But honestly, I could see either team winning this game.
All right, so you had your bold statement. I'll have mine. First things first, the resident Packers fan did not like me mentioning the Packers being dominated. Number one. Number two, here's my bold statement. Here's your upset. I think the Rams are going to go into Philly, and I think they're going to upset the Eagles because I think they are no one has contained Saquon Barkley. You don't really contain Saquon Barkley unless he's hurt and not on the field. I think the Rams will do enough to make and force Philly to throw the ball. I heard a little stat today. In the 3 playoff games that Jalen Hurts has won, he's thrown for under, I think it's 150 yards, like 130 yards, 140 yards. Like it's way under 200. And all of his playoff losses, it's like 250, there's a 300 game in there. I think the Rams can stop Saquon enough to force Philly to throw, and I think that ultimately will doom Philly, and the Rams offense will carry them.
That's a good, and honestly, I know, like, obviously I said Philly has, I think, just the better team overall, but if we're talking better head coaches, you have to give it to Sean McVay. And listen, if he puts up a game plan that completely shuts out the Eagles offense, or at least limits it to one thing, I wouldn't be surprised by that because of how great of a coach he is in terms of being able to game plan certain situations.
And I'm not done. Here's another tidbit for you. Everybody's been talking about this Eagles defense. The Eagles have the number 1 rookie in sacks. Number 2 and number 3 play for the Rams. Okay? Don't sleep. I know Aaron Donald's gone and retired. Do not sleep on this Rams defensive line. Do not. So, yeah, there's my bold prediction. I think the Rams can get it done in the early afternoon Saturday. We've cleared all the other games out of the way. It's time to talk about the heavyweight matchup of the weekend. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Buffalo Bills. The battle of potential MVPs. And I would argue, and I don't think this is actually a very far limb to climb out on. The 2 players left in the playoffs who need a Super Bowl more than any other player in the league right now. You are talking about 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson, who, quote, can't get it done in the playoffs, and potential and always MVP candidate Josh Allen, who can get it done in the playoffs, but hasn't been able to get over the hump that is the Chiefs, which is scary because he might not get past the Ravens, and he hasn't had to worry about that yet. So, Drew, who wins it for their team? Derrick Henry or James Cook?
I think that's honestly a great way to put it, because if my kind of spiel here was going to be, if it came down to what 2 quarterbacks was going to win the game, I'm giving it to Josh Allen because we've seen him come through in big moments, unlike Lamar Jackson. Listen, Lamar Jackson, amazing stats. We can say that to our blue in the face.
With the playoffs,
but when we talk playoffs, even the close game against the Chiefs this year, where he missed 2 wide open throws to put them up, and then basically almost overthrew the third guy, he caught it and then didn't come down with both feet. So if we're talking there, then I'm saying Allen. But I think you're absolutely right in the terms of Lamar Jackson has something that he finally has needed these past couple years, and that is the running back to kind of take that pressure off of him. Because listen, if it's 2nd and goal on the 7, previous years, Lamar Jackson taking that ball and he's throwing it, or he's running, or he's doing something. It's 2nd and goal on the 6. Now you're giving that ball to Derrick Henry, and he's most likely scoring.
But I still have to then worry because I know Derrick Henry's back there, but Lamar still might take it.
I think you're absolutely right, but I think that's your key here. And so I think when it comes down to it, I think this is very similar to the situation. I don't want to pick either team because both teams are amazing and could come out. And I think one team is going to be heartbroken at the end. I think it's going to be like a 1-point game. But if it comes down to it, I believe in Buffalo's ability to, at the end of games, to seal the deal, unlike Baltimore. Because we saw in the Pittsburgh game, last week, yes, Baltimore dominated. They did let the Steelers back into that game for a little bit before they kind of finally slammed the door.
It was 21-14 before Derrick Henry took off and scored that touchdown.
I wouldn't be surprised if this game kind of gets close, even if Baltimore kind of goes ahead in the beginning, but then Buffalo kind of comes storming back, and Baltimore kind of flatlines offensively if they kind of get figured out. And so I don't want to pick either team, but if I'm going to, I would pick Buffalo.
I respect that. Now, when we talked about Houston, Kansas City, I mean, it's kind of chalk, like I said, because we believe in Kansas City. I gave you your little tidbit, David Montgomery back in that offense. Okay. And I talked to you about that offense or that defensive line for the Rams. Here's your tidbit. Here's your key here. Here's something to look for. I know we have the two favorites for MVP, and Eagles are the favorites. I know Mom said that, but and she believes in Buffalo. Here's something to watch. I learned this. Both of these team, Buffalo, first of all, plays with the most 7-man front or 7-man on the offensive line. A five offensive line, throw your tight end in there, throw an extra offensive lineman on there. Baltimore runs basically a similar formation, except it's Mark Andrews who subs in there. So you're talking about two teams that physically run the ball the most. Even though we've got these two quarterbacks that are MVP favorites, these are two teams that line it up and try to run it at you. If these two teams stick to that game plan, the Baltimore Ravens will win because they are the more physical team. The Bills play a lot of 5-man back or 5 nickel backs. So there's a smaller guy on the field. They play a lot of that. I know they'll switch it up for this, but if both of these teams line up and do what they do, I believe the Baltimore Ravens will win this football game because Derrick Henry is going to run for 8 yards before he's touched. And then when he is touched, the next play, Lamar Jackson will do something. If they can get each other out of the comfort zone, Buffalo wins the game. So I'm not making a prediction, but I'm telling you what is going to happen. If both of these teams line up and run it like they've been, Baltimore Ravens are going. If they can get each other out of that and force Lamar to throw and force Josh Allen to throw, I think the Buffalo Bills will win this football game.
All right. We will see.
That's how we do it. All right. We put it off for as long as possible. All of your NFL football games are Saturday and Sunday because Monday night is reserved for the college kids because Monday night, college football playoff national championship game, the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
Just breathe that in.
Let that sit for a second. All right. I'm going to drive. I know it's my game and it's my team, but I'm going to drive.
Do it.
Your keys for each team. We're going to start with the Buckeyes. And yes, absolutely. We'll get these in now. Let's go Irish. Your keys for Ohio State. Start fast. I mean, that has pretty much been the key for them in the college football playoffs. Stop the run. Do not allow big plays. I know a lot of these are basics, but I think this is actually the key. Do not allow Notre Dame to be close in this game and come into the fourth quarter with belief that they can do this, because there is no team in the country that not only feeds off of that and believes off of that, but uses it to their advantage more than my Irish. Now, for Notre Dame, basically just copy everything that I just said and reverse it. You cannot allow Ohio State to jump out to an early lead. This is not Penn State. Run, 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 run the football. You have to establish the run against Ohio State. You have to take smart shots down the field and not turn the ball over. That turnover from those interceptions from Riley Leonard last game end this game without a doubt. And lastly, as I just said, stay close and keep the belief. I just gave you all kinds of X's and O's for the NFL. I got no X's. This is all heart and guts and grit.
Yeah, and I think this is very true. You do not want a track meet.
No, absolutely not.
This is very kind of tough, and I'm going to kind of explain why. In all metrics, in my opinion, Ohio State's got you beat. They're explosive on offense. They come up on defense. They are running on pure spite right now because of everything that's been said about them, and they're running for as long as possible. That's kind of where we're at now. But my mind keeps just kind of inkling towards, but what if? Because, listen, this Notre Dame team this season came in. They kind of started off hot. They had a great win against A&M. And then you blow one against Northern Illinois, and everyone goes, oh, here's the Notre Dame, great win, but then they can't get it done, in these cheap games. And then it seemed to kind of be over. You even said you thought it was over. And then you just kept winning. And you kept winning, and you kept winning, and you got yourself in. You beat up on Indiana. You upset Georgia. You came back against Penn State. And now I do believe you are playing your hardest opponent all year. I don't believe there is an opponent you've played that is better than Ohio State.
And playing better.
Exactly. But I don't believe Ohio State has played a team, maybe other than Michigan, that is more determined to beat them than you are. And so I think that you guys are both going to come out, and I think Ohio State is going to be electric. They are going to be flying. They are going to be hyped up for this game. But I also believe when you come out, you are going to be so focused on this goal that you are going to that team is going to be completely different than the team that played Alabama. Because I remember when that Manti Te'o quote of when they saw Alabama come out and everyone's eyes were wide and they didn't like it, and Manti Te'o knew it was going to be a long day from there. I don't believe that's going to happen now. You have won these hard games. You've got over this hump. And Marcus Freeman has these guys ready to put everything on the line to beat this Ohio State team. You just have to believe in yourself. And I think you've got that in hand.
Nice speech. This is the sentiment around the country. Okay.
It is.
That we are absolutely going to get cooked. And I never like to gamble with anybody else's money, but I don't like to root against anybody else's bets. But I will say this. So, yes, by all metrics and any stat that you could look at, Ohio State is not just the favorite, but they're supposed to dominate. They are supposed to take us out. Who is going to cover Jeremiah Smith? I have no clue. I'm not sure yet. Everyone at this point will cover him and Xavier Watts will shadow him. I don't like this part of the show because I have to talk too much about my own team in a big game when normally I would just be hiding in a corner for the next couple of days and not have to be out here with opinions. But I started this year when we were making predictions and talking about why I love college football so much. And, you know, it's not just the X's and the O's and the Jims and the Joes. It's green jerseys and yellow pants and whiteouts and, you know what I mean, and rocks that we touch before games. And it's play like a champion today signs that we touch before we come out of the locker room. It's tradition. It's college football. So no, by all the stats, we don't belong on this field with this team. But you don't play this game with stats. You play it on the field. You play it with some heart and you play it with some tradition. And they also don't have Jesus. They have Ohio, but they don't have Jesus. So while no, I'm terrified and I'm scared. Yeah, there is also a part of me that is like, this has been a magical run. What do you mean it's not? It ends here. You know, none of the other runs were as magical. I mean, that the last time it was a magical run was that Manti Te'o team that met Alabama in the national championship game. You had the goal line stop against Stanford. You had multiple comeback wins. And that team just found a way to win. And I'll be honest, I was not confident in that national championship game at all. But yeah, same juggernaut, same skill, all the wide receivers, the big offensive line, the great defensive players. But yeah, man,
yeah.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. If there is a chance that Notre Dame wins this game, where does the score line sit? How about that?
It's a good question. That's a good question. I think if you win close. I don't think there is a game plan good enough to completely shut down Ohio State's offense. There just isn't. No one in the country can stop this version of Ohio State's offense for more than 21 points, right? Texas gave up 28, and they're on par with you in terms of defensive talent. I think you're a little bit better, but you need to do what Texas didn't do, and that is punish Ohio State and punish that defense and make them gain everything. Ohio State didn't win that game because they outclassed Texas. They won because they had the breakaway runs. They had the strip fumble 6 as Texas was going to tie it. That was a close game. I know Ohio State, they played better, but that was a close game. And so if you can play like that Texas team, but don't make those mistakes and have that belief, you can do it.
So, I love this. Just jumped in, of course, and shout out to Bobby, the kicker, who is absolutely putting it on a missed field goal or a game-winning field goal by Notre Dame. When I have visions of this game that do go in my way, the only way I see this happening is them jumping on them early and forcing Will Howard into some bad throws and doing what this defense has been able to do all year in almost every game, and that's turn quarterbacks over and flip fields and get some interceptions. I think if they can do that early, I think that is the only way we can be in this game. I think the longer you drag this thing out, I just don't know if the firepower is there with Jeremiah Love's knee and Riley Leonard's arm to stay with Ohio State. So I think we've got to jump them early and get out to somewhat of a lead and try to make Ohio State chase us. I will not give any other prediction other than that. I will not pick this game. I will not pick a score. But play like a champion today, boys. Do it for Andy. There is no score line. I'm dead serious. 63-0. I don't care. There is no score line that gets me to come into Tuesday's show and shit on this team in any way and do nothing but heap praise on it, because we weren't supposed to be here, but we're here. So we're playing with house money right now. We are Notre Dame.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that I think you also have in your favor is that you aren't going to, lack of a better term that I can think in my head, you aren't going to piss down your leg if Ohio State scores on their first possession.
Nope.
So that's a big point in your favor.
We didn't piss down our legs when we put our backup quarterback in the last drive of the second or first half there against Penn State. So, and I get it. Yep, all the OHs. I understand. And the funny part is all Ohio State's done. This is my last low point though. All Ohio State fans have said, "Oh, Ohio State versus the world. Ohio State versus the world." You're now the favorite. There's nobody against you. Okay, everyone thinks you're going to win this game. Everyone is picking you, other than Lou Holtz and me. Okay,
it's gonna be at the game.
All right. Oh, there you go. He got somebody to finish it. There you go. So there's your OHIO. Let's go Irish. We'll see what happens Tuesday. We will see what kind of you're UC. We will see what kind of mood the show will be on Tuesday. That'll do it for basketball. That'll do it for the NFL. That'll do it for college football. We've got to end with some footy on the back end. Let's get rolling real quick. Let's start with the result of the day. Manchester United 3, lowly Southampton 1. Manchester United scored 3 goals in the last 12 minutes of the game, with stoppage time included in there. Basically 3 goals after like the 84th minute to come back and beat Southampton. Ahmed Dallo with a hat trick. I love you so much, kid. I love you so much.
Great win. If there's a team that isn't at 6 points currently, you probably lose that game, right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. And you know what though? I can't pick that much because this is the result that you need. Previous years, you get that big win against Arsenal in the Cup, you're flying high, and you lose or draw to Southampton, and you're like,
absolutely.
Okay, all of it's gone. You just kept the ball rolling. You are gaining more steam off of that. Wasn't pretty.
No,
it looked ugly, but you got the job done. But those wins mean more than a blowout. You winning and coming back 3-1 is better than you having the lead the entire game.
And I'm gonna give 2 players a shout out because last year and earlier this year, when these 2 specific players, they would be subbed on at the time. Now Harry Maguire starts games. Harry Maguire, Christian Eriksen. When they came into the game today, Christian Eriksen played one of the most beautiful little one-touch balls over the top for the Dalot goal. And Harry Maguire stepped in and made some big plays down the stretch there at the very end, heading some balls away, doing what he does. My big blockhead. I have gotten on this show and have tossed them under the bus because they have put those 2 in the game and their side has led to the goal. Now, I can't say we should have won 6-1 because Onana made a save in the first half that was just point blank in front of him, and it should have been a goal, and they hit it right at his chest. And he kept us in that game. But yeah, we also had some point blank chances. Anthony, Landon's going to score that goal on Saturday in his first indoor game.
So
it was so horrible of a miss.
I thought you had lost that game when he missed that.
Me too. But the belief was there. The belief from one man, Ahmed Dallo. And you're right. We do not get points. Hey, what's up, Kayla? We do not get points in this game earlier in the year or last year.
Yeah. So, hey, that's a great win, though.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we will keep it rolling. So there was some other results. A lot of teams dropped points. Liverpool dropped points to Nottingham Forest this week. I would say Nottingham Forest gained a point there. Chelsea dropped points in a 2-2 draw with Bournemouth. Manchester City up 2-0 on Bournemouth. Brentford end up dropping points as Brentford comes back to tie that game. And then some, obviously, most of the other results towards the bottom of the table. Arsenal did beat Tottenham 2-1 as Arsenal finally pick up some much needed 3 points there. But let's get into this week.
Yes. So give me 1 second here. I also wanted to mention out Fulham with a surprising loss, and West Ham with their new head coach. I can't remember their name. If you can remember it for me. Graham Potter.
Yeah, Graham Potter.
With a much needed win there. Absolutely fantastic. Getting into the weekend, we don't have a graphic for this week because I
That's
was
all
short
right.
of time in the next past 2 days.
Hey,
But
it happens.
some good games coming up. Aston Villa travel to Arsenal on Saturday in the 12:30 game. That's going to be a good game. Bournemouth off their kind of decent performance these past couple of weeks, playing Newcastle in the early game on Saturday. I think that'll be a good game. Brighton takes on a new life Manchester United team. That'll be a fun one.
Oh, I don't know about that.
And then on Monday, Wolves play my Chelsea in a game that I really need them to win and get back into form.
Absolutely. Newcastle hoping to remain in the top 4. I don't know if it is updated. I will double check.
Yes.
Yes. Newcastle has snuck in there as Chelsea and Manchester City kind of continue to drop points, and Aston Villa has kind of been up and down, although Aston Villa has splashed some cash in the past week and a half as well, because the January transfer window is obviously open. But Newcastle hoping to remain in that Champions League spot. Like we said, Aston Villa and Arsenal in a top 7 clash, United and Brighton, who I'm very, very, very nervy about that one. Excuse me. Now, real quick, before we wrap it up, we have the only thing we like to talk about other than our own teams, the one team we very much share in common, the United States men's national team. Camp Cupcake is in effect. We call it Camp Cupcake specifically because the only players that were able to be called up are MLS players or American-based players, because all of the other teams in Europe are not allowing their players out. But we've got 2 friendlies coming up. Let's talk.
Oh, I don't know why the T's not on there. Everything's just cut off. That's fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Listen, game on Saturday against Venezuela, which I think will be the better of the 2 games. We also have a game on Wednesday against Puerto Rico. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But I do want to kind of what?
Puerto Rico, let's go.
I know. Also, so yeah, we got some things here. I think so. As you can see, there's some stars next to players. Those stars mean due to their current transfer that they just did. Jesus Ferreira to Seattle, Jalen Neal to, I forget where he went to.
Canada, Vancouver,
and then John Tolkien in his move over to it's a German team that is a name that I cannot pronounce. They are exiting the camp.
I love the move for Tolkien. I'm a big fan of this kid. I think World Cup window, I think he's going to surprise some people if a certain Serginho Dest does not stay healthy. Jesus Ferreira, the move to Seattle, surprising. Okay.
It's a good move for Seattle because they need more than Jordan Morris kind of up in that front. But I think honestly, we saw in the playoffs they couldn't do anything against you.
Nobody could.
But yeah, in terms of Jesus Ferreira, I think this is kind of telling that this is kind of where he's at. I think this is his level, which is fine. He is great at that level, and he is great, coming in and kind of being that 4th or 5th striker when we really need him and some guys are banged up. Does a good job kind of against those lower teams, but that's kind of his level, and that's okay.
No, yeah, I know, I agree. Now, normally when we talk United States men's national team, well, no, not when we talk United States men's national team. When we talk Americans abroad, normally little bro names off all of these young guys, and big bro goes, huh, where, who, huh, what? However, and first of all, shout out to Daniel for the 62 shares. That is absolutely wild behavior, but you a wild boy. Big Bro's got some names that he wants you to look out for. Some names that hopefully we be able to come back and talk about. The first one being, I want to give a shout out to Shaq Moore for getting called back up. Was somewhat of a mainstay early in his career on the United States men's national team. It's good to see him get a chance there. Miles Robinson cannot escape just being called up to every roster at this point.
Insane.
The goalkeepers, somebody stand out.
Yeah.
Somebody stand out. Somebody prove that Zach Steffen shouldn't be there anymore. Zach Steffen,
guys too.
Yeah, some young guys there. Also, Caden Clark, Benjamin, however you say his last name.
Kramashi.
Yeah, there you go. And Caden Clark. Those are some names that I want you to keep an eye on. And then also we'll save him. We'll save the midfielder for last because I think it's somebody we should point out specifically. You agree with me? Any ones you want to add in there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the one guy in a minute, but yeah, I think goalkeepers, you have a lot of young guys in there. I think Matt Freese and Drake Counter are both like 24, 25, and so they are very much kind of getting into their prime as goalkeepers. If we're talking kind of defenders, honestly, I was really excited for John Tolkien and Jalen Neal. So that now that they're not going to be there, I'm kind of like, eh.
I was going to sit there and talk about the two of them, but that's why I love Tolkien. But yeah, they're not going to get that opportunity now.
And then Brian Gutierrez, we talked about him last year when we were talking MLS. He was very, very crucial in that Chicago Fire team. And so I think that's kind of the big ones. And then obviously we'll talk about the midfielders. Jack McGlynn, I think, has been a guy that's been kind of gone over the under the radar in terms of he is a crucial cog of that Philadelphia Union midfield, but it really hasn't gotten the opportunity to kind of show where he's got. And I think the way he plays is going to be absolutely fantastic for the way that Pochettino wants to run this midfield. So that's going to be amazing. But we're going to talk about it here. The guy we're all watching.
Yes, but before, I just want to point out for everybody who's listening along who may not kind of understand what's happening here. Most of our European players are established in the national team starting spots and coming off the bench. This is Mauricio Pochettino looking at all of these MLS players and saying, this is your opportunity to earn a spot to come into the camp and prove that you belong alongside these European players, thus getting you a spot on the roster in the starting 11, coming off the bench, whatever it might be. He's giving all of these guys a chance. Now, with that being said, the man who has probably deserved a chance in a lot of people's eyes for a long time now, and that is midfielder Diego Luna. Drew, let him have it.
Listen, yeah. Obviously, this kid. Let's get people up to speed. Diego Luna, he is a attacking mid for the Real Salt Lake. Absolutely world class. Not world class, but
he's electric.
He is electric. He is 21 years old. He is think of kind of in the MLS. Think of a shorter, stockier Messi in the way he plays. In the terms of he gets the ball, he's going to move. He makes a lot of great runs. He's more on kind of assisting than really scoring goals.
He scores beautiful goals. Just absolute beautiful, some bangers.
No, absolutely. And he's come up. He kind of came through. I am blanking on he came to the USL.
Yeah.
He came to the USL. He's now into the MLS, and we have been looking at this kid for a long time to kind of blossom into this attacking midfielder that maybe isn't going to right away break into this national team kind of like a Pulisic or a Reyna, but kind of get into this team and show that he is part of something, that he can be a part of this team because he moves the ball fantastic. He has great movement. He is great on the ball, off the ball. He passes well. He shoots well. He gets into good spaces. And I really believe that this is, as long as Pochettino kind of goes here and gives him the opportunity to take the ball and move, he is going to be special and show that he should be on more than just a Camp Cupcake team, because this kid has the potential to play with and be just as good as some of these attackers that we have on our national team.
It has been a very long time since I have been this excited about a call-up for the U.S. men's national. Gianluca Busio. Was the last time I was this excited about a player getting a call-up. Luna absolutely deserves it. It's funny. We just talked about how most of our European-based players have kind of their own spots solidified in the national team because as Americans, we finally figured out, hey, when our players play in the best leagues and they play in the Champions League and in the Premier League and in the Bundesliga, in Serie A and wherever, they're playing against the best players in the world, therefore making our national team better. However, we still have one small American bias, and it's funny that I said small American bias, that for some reason, I'll tell you the reason, because we've had so many American-based coaches, the one small thing that they always hang on to is that American players have to be this certain size, that they have to be big and they have to be tall. And any other great footballing nation around the world every time and anytime they hear that, they just laugh hysterically because it is just the stupidest thing in the stupidest way you could ever judge a player, unless he's your center back, your goalie, and that's about it. Diego Luna is a smaller, undersized player. Therefore, he has been overlooked consistently by Bruce. I almost said Bruce. I almost unfairly took a shot at Bruce Arena. Under Greg Berhalter, he was constantly overlooked, while the likes of Christian Roldan and Paul Arriola would get call-ups to the United States men's national team, which was just asinine at the time. Mauricio Pochettino wants the best footballers that he can find that will wear the red, white, and blue. And you cannot tell me in our talent pool that Diego Luna is not one of the 26 on the World Cup roster. You can't tell me that he's more than 30. You can't.
And I think this is a very big moment for him because obviously, Gio Reyna has his injury problems, but he's amazing when he's on the team. Malik Tillman, while amazing for his club, really has yet to show that he can fit into the system. Obviously, it's new, and we'll get there. So while we have a lot of talented players, that attacking mid position really hasn't kind of been solidified yet. Obviously, you have Chris on the left. Obviously, you have a rotation of 2 or 3. I think Pepe's your 1 right now in striker, and you have Way on the right. But in terms of that fourth attacker, that attacking mid, Gio is there when he's healthy, but if not, it's kind of up for grabs, and he's not healthy a lot. And so if Diego Luna can take this opportunity and really show, hey, I understand this system, it works for me, and I can exceed and I can excel, and then now work with basically others and even better caliber players, that's right there for him to get put in as a starting position, maybe a rotational piece on that World Cup roster. But it all starts now. It starts, you have to play well against Venezuela. You have to play well against Puerto Rico. You have to be able to kind of take this opportunity and really take advantage of it because, listen, if you're not a Tim Weah, you're not a Christian Pulisic, if you have a bad game, you may not get called up again because that's just how it is when you're on you're a fringe player in a camp, especially being as young as he is and in the MLS. You only have so many opportunities. You really, really have to take this opportunity, and I think he will.
Normally, especially with the first camp with Pochettino, it was, how can my players fit in the system? I think specifically for this camp, it is going to be less about my system and more how individually are you performing on the field. Less so much your pass that you went through didn't get scored, you were making that pass. Diego Luna, are you getting on the ball, making positive plays, making positive runs, making positive chances? So that's what we will definitely look out for. I know those games are wrapped in with all of the football, but we will definitely be taking a look at them, and we will have a little tidbit about them on Tuesday. So,
I will say, the first game on Saturday, Texans Chiefs, is at 4:30. This first game is against Venezuela is at 3:00. You got plenty of time to watch the first half, maybe even some of the second half, to really kind of get an idea of what we're talking about too before you switch it over to ESPN to watch Texans Chiefs. Or if you're like, I like this, let's watch the rest of the half hour and then I'll turn on the Texans Chiefs game.
You don't have no. We'll just double box, okay? You don't have to. Come on now.
That's true. We have the technology.
You know how I get down. We'll be just double boxing in. We got indoor soccer at 11:20. We'll be home just in time for that. So, boom. Oh, real quick, before we go, I just want to throw this in. Let me click around some graphics. There we go. Boom. Real quick. Big bros, big bets. Just so you do know, divisional round, Chiefs favored by 8.5, Lions by 9.5, Eagles by 6.5, Ravens, Bills, a toss-up. Ravens only 1.5. You get some plus 350 on the Texans, plus 400 on the Commanders, plus 235 on the Rams. I'm just saying, I definitely like the 6.5, but I definitely like that plus. Bills only plus 100. And obviously your national championship game, Ohio State, big right now, favored by 8.5 points. Your Notre Dame Fighting Irish plus 290 on the upset.
I also want to say the Ravens and Bills over under is 51.5.
Wow.
So a 26-26 game is over on that. And honestly, That sounds really good to me.
I do. I like that one too. All right. Well, that'll do it for us here on the Straub Sports Show on your Thursday preview. We'd like to thank all of you for rocking with us today. If you are with us on the YouTube page, we really appreciate it. Subscribe while you are there if you don't mind. Appreciate you, Joey. Appreciate you for rocking with us. Make sure you follow us anywhere and everywhere on X, Straub Sports. TikTok for as long as it's possibly around at the SBSS, Instagram at Straub Sports Show, and Spotify, the Straub Sports Show. Big shout out to Daniel in the Falls Rapids and all my guys who are rocking with us today. Make sure you follow and give them a like on Facebook at the Cuyahoga Falls Rapids and on Instagram, Official Rapids, as we are the official broadcast team of the Falls Rapids, Big Bro and Little Bro. Make sure you check out our interviews that we have done so far with the players and the coaches and ownership. You can check those out on Instagram, and you can check them out on the Straub Sports Show YouTube page, your one-stop shop for everything Straub Sports Show. And big shout out Austin at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Make sure you follow them on Instagram at Create Your Own Wave 2021. And get your apparel at cyowapparel.myshopify.com. Let's derail the show. Also, a big shout out to Schmoopy Sweets and Treats. Shout out to our girl Paula. Make sure you get on Facebook and search Schmoopy's Sweets and Treats, and you can follow and you can put your orders in those DMs. What are you ordering? You're ordering your Valentine's package. Get your cookies, your cheesecake, and your cupcakes. Get them for your missus. Get them for your mister. Get them for whoever. Get them for yourself. But make sure you get that order in ASAP, or you're going to get left on read. I'm just telling you right now, you're getting ghosted without that Valentine's order. Put it in. And if you don't want a Valentine's Day order, check out the brand new, beautifully made menu. Big shout out to Paula. Straub pointed that out. Your breads, your bagels, your croissants, your cheesecakes, your donuts, your muffins, your danishes, and your cannoli. All right. Get you a cannoli. All right. Make sure you get your orders in ASAP, free delivery in the local area. Shout out to all of our friends of the show. We truly, truly appreciate you. Straub, final thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for watching, listening, commenting, however you interact with the show. It's amazing. We love to do it. And it's our first it's not our first 2 week show, our 2-show week. Jesus. But it was fun. I'm glad we kind of can chop it up in little segments, especially with as much sports that we want to cover as this. So thank you guys, and have a great weekend. Stay safe.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend. Go Irish. Play like a champion today. And please remember to always love yours.